Hey, it's Doug with Backcountry Pilgrim, a channel all about hiking, camping, backpacking, and the gear that goes with it. I am just not a very good food shopper. I don't know what it is. I have some kind of mental block when it comes to food shopping for my trips. My friends all laugh at me. You know, we get somewhere to have lunch and they're pulling out this feast and I've got like a granola bar. I've just never been very good at planning my backcountry meals because most of the food that I like, I cook at home and I can't bring on the trail because it isn't going to last long enough. Right On Trek is a different kind of company. They seem to be really looking to make it easier for you to plan your backcountry adventures. When I first heard about Right On Trek, I thought they were just another backcountry food company because that was how I was approached by them. They said, hey, we'd like to send you our package of macaroni. It's award-winning and we'd love for you to try it out. And I wasn't really all that excited. Macaroni is not my favorite food in the world. I've got 4 kids, so it's a pretty normal staple in our home. But when I looked into the company, I realized, gosh, there is a lot more to Right On Trek than just being another place that's making backcountry food in a pouch that you fill full of water. When you go to Right On Trek's website, what you see is actually kind of 3 major sections, and all of them are based around planning your next adventure. First, they have a trail and trip section where you can discover potential trails for you to go on in whatever area you're from. Now I know there are a lot of these. There's All Trails and there's Gaia and things like that. But what makes Right On Trek's planning resources different is that they're really geared toward the experience of the hike and not just finding routes. So while you can investigate mileage, elevation, and those sorts of things, Right On Trek is really more about telling you the kinds of things you need to know about the experience that you're going to have. What does it look like? What is the water like? Where are the good campsites? These are the kinds of things that are first and foremost in Right On Trek's presentation of the various trails. Another thing I really liked about their planning is that you can really kind of tell Right On Trek's interface what kind of trip you'd like to take. How long do you want to be out? How many miles do you want to go a day? And then, kind of like having an experienced guide for that area, the interface will tell you, hey, here's maybe some campsites to shoot for. Here's where the water is going to be found. It gives you the kind of information that becomes a lot more important for enjoying your trip than just spitting out the data and stats. Once you've discovered a trail that you'd like to explore and you've added it to your trips, it's time to talk about food, and this is where Right On Trek is really focused in on being something of a game changer. This is not going to be a food review video. I'm not entirely sure why anybody would care what somebody else thought about how certain food tasted. I will be talking about some objective features about the meals though, because I responded and said, tell you what, send me the macaroni, but I also want one of your big full day packages because I want to see what it's like having somebody else pick out my food for me. Now this is one of the most powerful and innovative features of Right On Trek. With a few simple clicks, you can indicate any dietary restrictions or preferences all the way down to some finer grained things like, I like sweets in the morning or I like protein at night. And with a few clicks, you can really dial in exactly the kind of food that you would like Right On Trek to suggest to you. After a few clicks, a whole menu pops up. Here is what we would suggest you get. It gives you breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It gives you snacks. It gives you drinks. And then if there's something in there that you, oh, I don't really like raisins, for example, well, you can very quickly swap it out. So what Right On Trek does is 2 things. Number one, it curates a number of other products from other companies that they think are very good for the backcountry backpacker, and then they supplement that with actual meals, your freeze-dried kind of variety, that they make themselves. But these meals are very different than your kind of standard mountain house, freeze-dried, meal in a bag kind of meals. Now what makes these Right On Trek meals so special could be seen as a game changer or maybe a deal killer, depending on what you're looking for. I'll get to that in a minute. But what makes them special is that the food is meant to be enjoyed as food, the kind of food that you would eat at home, and not just a bag full of calories with some spices in it that you're shoveling down so that you can get on trail the next day. For one thing, Right on Trek meals are only cooked once, by you. They're not cooked and then freeze-dried and stuck in a big plastic pouch to be boiled in water for 20-30 minutes and then eaten. Right on Trek uses minimal preservatives because these meals are meant to last about 18 months. They're not meant to be stored for 30 years in a bunker. The meals are meant to be delicious. They are calorie-dense, large portions with an eye for a balanced nutrition ratio that is going to keep you feeling better and healthier when you're outdoors. Now, all of that sounds pretty good, but what really makes Right on Trek meals unique, probably more than any other metric, is the fact that you actually cook these meals in your pot and not in the pouch. Right on Trek meals are packaged in a sustainable, bio-friendly package that can actually be composted and does not contain any plastics or any dangerous chemicals that could hurt you or the environment. One thing I really thought was cool about the way the meals cook is that they are all produced to be able to be made in 10 minutes or less. So when you get to camp and you finally get set up and it's time to eat and you've got that hiker hunger going on, you're not sitting there staring at a pouch for 20 or 30 minutes waiting for your already cooked food to get recooked in a bunch of boiling water. You're actually going to cook this food in a pot on the stove, kind of like you would at home. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to need extra equipment like frying pans or anything like that. All of these meals are meant to be cooked in a pot using boiling water, which means you're also going to be eating out of it unless you want to bring an additional bowl or a plate or something. And that is where the challenge comes in, because if you're used to just doing nothing but boiling water on the trail and eating out of a pouch, you are going to have to modify the way you think about what you're doing. It is kind of cool to be cooking on the trail, actually adding ingredients at different times and feeling like you're making a meal and not just watching somebody else's meal rehydrate. But that does mean that you're going to have a dirty pot at the end that you're going to have to thoroughly clean in order to pack it away. It also means that if you're cooking for more than one person, you're going to have to clean the pot in between each cook. You're not going to be able to just quickly segue from food to coffee or tea to somebody else's meal. So it does require a bit more forethought about how you're going to set up your camp kitchen. But if you are willing to go through those steps to get a cleaner, tastier, and more healthy meal, Right on Trek might be worth looking into. Now, if you've watched this far in the video, you're probably wondering, okay, what is all of this quality and convenience going to cost me? Well, it is going to cost a little bit more than if you went out to the store and picked out everything yourself. But really, it's not that much more. When you consider that a typical backcountry boil in a bag meal is going to run you around $10, $12. You multiply that by the number of meals that Right on Trek sends you, and then the pile of snacks that they give you on top of that, plus the drinks, the carry bag if you need it. This is a very good package, and you're really not paying very much more. I mean, just a matter of a few dollars more to have this curated, healthy, delicious package of meals sent to you. You're not having to drive to the store, you're saving time, you're saving gas money. Honestly, I think at the end of the day, it's probably about a wash. And then just real quickly, I want to talk about the third part of the website, which is their gear area. Now, Right on Trek is located in Montana, and they actually have gear rentals and things like that that you can get if you're out there. Basically, just their recommendations for what gear to bring with you on a trip. So what do you think? Is it worth cooking in a pot and having to clean it in between each meal to get those features of tastiness and nutrition and health and cleanliness? Some people probably aren't going to think it's worth it. Personally, I'm a little bit on the fence. There were times where I didn't mind it at all. There were times where I was getting pretty irritated about having to clean that pot out, but I definitely was never irritated by the taste and the nutrition that I was getting from the Right on Trek meals. It just gives me huge peace of mind to know that I can just get on the Right on Trek website, click a couple buttons, and they're going to send me a meal package that is definitely going to get me through the day, through the night, and keep me right on trek. See what I did there?